YouTube, Joyboy here. So today I want to talk about the plan that we keep talking about every single chapter. If you've forgotten, let me break it down for you. Step 1, Luffy's flashy entrance. Step 2, kill the portrait. Step 3, improbably survive. Step 4, endure Big Mom's tantrum. Invisible Symphonium, lol. Step 5, kill the bitch. Step 5.5, save the spawn of evil. And finally, Step 6, run for your life. So far so good, eh?
You know what I noticed? Nobody panics when things go according to plan. Even if the plan is horrifying.
But real talk fam, we are now at Step 5. And after this last chapter, a lot of us are beginning to see daylight at the end of the tunnel. But let's reel it back in. After letting it sink in for a bit, I realized that we're back at point 0, the plan definitely is not going to work. Now the point at which the plan will fail is definitely uncertain. However, I'm fairly confident that we will not, for sure, complete Step 6. But let's first talk about the remaining steps of the plan and how each of them potentially could lead to the Straw Hats failing. Let's start off with the obvious one, Step 5, kill the woman child. This is actually a step, or at least the majority of the step, that I can see the Straw Hats actually completing. That is because, simply put, the Capone, Gotti, and Vito are standing point blank with rocket launchers pointed directly at a woman who is not even slightly aware of what's going on around her. For a psychotic murderer, she is ripe fruit ready to be picked. But just because it seems likely that they will hit her with the poisonous rocket launchers does not guarantee that this will actually succeed. One of Oda's favorite storytelling stratagems has always been to make something very, very obvious to us, and then at the moment where it must come true, Oda's like, nah. Many people out there in the community are expecting something like this to occur. But how exactly Oda will pull the rug out from under our feet, I'm not certain, and I don't think anyone really is certain. There's definitely many possibilities out there. One speculation that I heard numerous times after my first reaction was that after Big Mom's flashback, she will snap back to reality, just in time to figure out what's going on and dodge. Alternatively, Katakuri still seems to be in action. Smoothie has yet to do anything. There's plenty of Big Mom subordinates around her, and I'm certain that they see Capone and his men pointing their rockets at Big Mom. It's possible they're able to intervene. But at this point, I feel like that would be the most boring route Oda could take it, and therefore is probably less likely. It's also worth noting that at this point in time, Prometheus and Zeus and Napoleon have yet to do anything. And so it's possible they are the ones that will in some way stop Capone. But I gotta be real with you guys, I'm actually of the expectation that this particular part of the plan will actually succeed. The rockets will make contact with Big Mom and she will get poisoned. As you guys know, if you followed my channel for some time, I've made the prediction from almost a year ago now that the Straw Hats would be responsible for saving Big Mom, and in order to save Big Mom, she would essentially need to be defeated first. And so for my theory that the Straw Hats would be allowed to leave Whole Cake Island after having saved Big Mom, her to be in a situation such as this where she's poisoned and put near death would definitely work. And so this is also where I want to say something almost random, and I'm not sure if I can make complete sense of it. But back at the beginning of Whole Cake Island, Revujo was foreshadowed to have the ability to essentially be able to suck poison out of someone. And I would have to assume that at some point in time she'll actually use this ability. It's just typical of Oda to foreshadow something at the beginning of an arc for it to play a greater role in the story at some point. So who at this tea party is capable or has the capability of poisoning someone? And right now the only thing is Caesar's rockets. So you put 2 and 2 together, Caesar's rockets will hit someone and Revujo will suck the poison out of them and save them. And so I think the majority of the people who have noticed this and who have speculated something along these lines have speculated that Capone's rockets will actually miss Big Mom, hits an ally, a Straw Hat or someone friendly, and Revujo will save them. But I do want to mention the possibility that Revujo actually saves Big Mom. I'm not going to try and reason it, and I'm certain I'm going to get hate for just mentioning it and not justifying it, but I want to throw it out there. And potentially wait for some other dominoes to fall. One thing that I do want to say though is, despite my belief that it's possible that Big Mom is poisoned and potentially put near death and essentially defeated, I do not believe that she can be allowed to die. For a hyped up Yonko to literally kick the bucket like this does not feel right. Defeating a Yonko should be a monumental moment, and the way it's being set up currently, it just would completely lack all of the gravitas a moment like this should possess. And to boot, half the crew wouldn't even be here to enjoy the victory.
Not like this. Not like this.
But anyway guys, let's assume that this step is actually completed. Big Mom is shot with this poisonous syringe-like rocket, and we're left with the next step. Save the vile scum. Except Revujo, of course. Heart. If we are assuming that the previous step is completed and we move on to the next one, I think a lot of people take this step for granted. In Capone's vision for the plan, the Vinsmokes would be carried away by the Straw Hats, and they would do so willingly, but I absolutely do not think that this is a guarantee. While it may be prudent for the Vinsmoke to leave and regroup and not even test Big Mom's pirate crew, if we're assuming that the previous step is complete, Big Mom has been shot with poisonous rockets, and for all intents and purposes, essentially defeated. Would it be all that surprising if the Vinsmoke decided to stay? Big Mom has clearly wronged the Vinsmoke, and I think that it is within their character to want to enact revenge. But we also can't forget who their savior is, Sanji and his pirate scum friends. Are they really willing to let their egos go and allow themselves to be saved by him? Now, by no means am I saying that it's definitive that they won't, but I do think it is a very important question to ask. And the implications of such a decision, whether it's because of Sanji or because of their anger, if they choose to not go with the Straw Hats, then I believe that Sanji would be forced to stay as well, given that one of his goals is to save his family. And the whole purpose of the Straw Hats coming in the first place is to save Sanji, so if Sanji's staying, the rest of the Straw Hats are staying. The plan is completely derailed if the Vinsmoke decide to stay and fight. And this situation would also create another interesting relationship, which is that what would Capone do in this situation, where he has, as revealed so far, little to no desire whatsoever to save the Vinsmoke. In fact, saving the Vinsmoke was completely the Straw Hats' addition to his prior plan. So if the Straw Hats are staying because the Vinsmoke are staying, there's really no reason for Capone to stay with them. And so the reason for me bringing this up is that currently there is only one way to leave. Step 6, Caesar carrying the mirror, holding Brûlé, everyone jumps through the mirror, and then the gateway is closed. And they do not have all day to use Caesar's exit. The idea is to run for your lives. You are surrounded by Big Mom's subordinates. As soon as Big Mom is incapacitated and stops screaming, all of Big Mom's subordinates will be pouring down on you. So at this point in time, it's prudent to run away as quickly as possible. If we've established that in the scenario where the Vinsmoke stay, the Straw Hats would stay, Capone has no reason to stay, perhaps Capone actually uses the exit. And then afterwards, knowing that the Straw Hats are going to stay behind, the door closes. You know, we got a lot of foreshadowing that Capone may betray the Straw Hats. And this could be a very interesting way in which Oda closes up that potential foreshadow. But anyway, to move on, let's assume that the Vinsmoke are hunky-dory and are ready to leave just as much as everyone else. Let's get it to step 6 and how it could potentially fail. The idea mentioned to me by SSJ22 Terrace was that the mirror would in some way break. This could happen in an absolute multitude of ways. The first of which is that Big Mom's scream or anything that she ends up doing inadvertently breaks it. If the mirror breaks, they're screwed. Another way is that Caesar is clearly terrified and could in some way drop the mirror. If Caesar drops the mirror, they're screwed. Another interesting way in which this could go sideways is that there are still others inside the mirror world, such as Diesel, who we have not seen for some time, as well as Randolph. It's been many hours since Randolph was initially defeated, and we're not really led to believe that he was tied up, although I guess we should assume that he was. But regardless, if they are somehow able to get out of their restraints, they can't actually leave the mirror world. However, they can break Caesar's mirror from the inside. If this occurs, the Straw Hats and everyone else cannot escape. And I'm certain there are many other ideas which people could potentially come up with for each of these steps and how they could potentially fail. But what I really haven't mentioned yet up until this point in time is why I think the plan will definitely fail. Or at least definitely not succeed immediately. Now, I talked a little bit about Big Mom and how I really don't think it's appropriate for the Straw Hats to kill Big Mom and then run away, and for that to be the first Yonko that they take down. It just, from a story writer's perspective, would be incredibly anticlimactic and not do justice for what should be one of the most epic moments in the story up until this point in time. Beyond that, I still think that there are many things which need to happen that Oda has set up in the story, unresolved plots you could call them, which must be addressed. And as it stands right now, Capone is about to fire the rockets. And so after this point in time is the moment in time where Caesar should appear and the Straw Hats should escape. So all of this, if it goes according to plan, should take place in the next few seconds. Which means many of the things I'm about to mention would also need to take place in the next few seconds. First, we gotta look at Pudding. Pudding is very clearly being redeemed by Oda. He's definitely showing her hesitate and have second thoughts about what the Big Mom Pirates have asked her to do. But this process of redemption is very much incomplete at the moment, and Oda needs to complete it by the conclusion of the Whole Cake Island arc. And it seems to me with everything that's going on right now, 3 seconds or so will not be enough. But this leads me to another interesting thought. It's very curious that many of the Big Mom Pirates' lives are threatened right now. Peckham's, Opera, Brûlé, Pound have all either failed or in some way gone against Big Mom's orders. And so if we assume that Big Mom may live, then the Straw Hats absolutely cannot just let them be killed off screen. This is especially true for Peckham's and Pound, who were the Straw Hats' allies. And in the case of Pudding, being left in Whole Cake Island, where she probably won't be killed because her abilities are too useful, but where she will definitely get mistreated and will not be where she wants to be, this also cannot be allowed. But even if Big Mom were to die, who's to say that her children and her subordinates won't turn their anger onto those who allowed for the Straw Hats to kill her? And if the Straw Hats have left and are unable to save these people, again, it doesn't seem right. Oh yeah, and I also mentioned Pound, but Pound disappeared somewhere in the middle of Whole Cake Island arc and has yet to reappear. Pound also being connected to Lola, who is a very important character, side character in One Piece. So basically within the next couple seconds, Pound should reappear and explain himself. And this is of course not even mentioning Sanji's relationship with his family, which absolutely must be addressed. And if it's some half-assed Sanji saves them, then all of a sudden they believe in Sanji and his strength, and all the things that happened in their past were forgiven. It's just, if something like that happens, I would probably flip a desk. And last but not least, we have the Timate Bako box, which we all assume, and it may be a faulty assumption, but we all assume that it will need to be opened during this arc. But guys, I do have to say that there is the potential that you could potentially reason out an explanation for any of these individually. However, taken in full, considering all of them all needing to be resolved within the next few seconds, it seems incredibly unlikely that that will be the case. And so, if it's not resolved in the next couple seconds, it seems likely that the plan will have failed. If I were to bet on this, I would be betting on the plan failing. But anyway guys, let me know what you think. Let me know if you agree or disagree and why. Share your thoughts, like the video if you like the video, dislike the video if you dislike the video, subscribe if you want to be notified for my future content, and as always guys, have a wonderful day.